Hello there, it's Karen here from Crafty Little Miss K. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome on a beautiful sunny day. It's the 9th of October as I'm filming this and the sky is gorgeous. There's not a cloud in the sky. We're here in the UK, we're in for a beautiful week of sunny weather this week before horrible weather comes back, I'm sure. Anyway, so I'm continuing my quest to make mail cards. And because like I said in a previous video, I've got a lot of men's birthdays coming up, men's and boys birthdays coming up between now and the end of the year. I've got my dad's at the weekend, then next month I've got my brother-in-law and my nephew, then in December I've got my son-in-law and my daughter's and son-in-law's little boy who's going to be 6, and then my older boy's son who will be 7 between Christmas and New Year. So lots of male birthdays. Obviously the little boy ones I'll have to think of something else. I've got something planned but I don't know if it'll happen yet. But in the meantime I'm making a mail card which I think is actually going to go to my dad, because I know he doesn't actually follow me on YouTube. Well, I've had him as a subscriber. He said he would subscribe, but I don't think he watches, so hopefully. Anyway, so the card I'm making, I can't show you a sample because I haven't actually made it yet, but it is based on a card that I found on Facebook, on one of the Facebook groups I belong to. I belong to a Stampin' Up Facebook group run by a lady called Fiona Whitehead, and she does have a blog. So if you can't see her pictures on Facebook, she's at craftystamping.blogspot.com. And Fiona made this beautiful a beautiful man's card using my favourite stamp set. And I said to her, do you mind if I copy that? I said, because I think my dad would love it. And she said, no, go for it. So I asked her what she used, because there was a piece on there that I didn't recognise. I don't have it, so I'm going to do my own take on the card. It's actually going to be slightly different colour as well. So it's kind of like a copy, but not quite. Anyway, the stamp set that she used was High Tide. And I love this set. I've used it quite often. In fact, my poor dad has probably had this, so many cards made from this. When I first got it, it was just before Father's Day, and I made him a Father's Day card using it, and then I think I used it for his birthday, and you know, as it goes on. So it's going to have a lighthouse, and it's going to have a bit of the water, the birds, and maybe some of the reeds, because it's quite a small, like a cameo. But I definitely have the lighthouse in it, so I'm going to be using that. And then I'm going to be using, if I can show you all the bits I'm using first, then I'll show you the colours, I think. I'm going to be using, on one of the layers, this embossing folder, and it's Pinewood Planks Dynamic Textured Impressions embossing folder. And the reason it's got such a long name is because it's quite a thick folder, as you can see, and so it creates a really deep embossed image. I can feel that really well, that nice plank effect there. So I want to have the wood effect as a layer in the background. And then I'm going to be using layering ovals, and I've got the bits off to one side. I'm going to be using the largest scalloped oval there. And then I'm using stitch shaped framelits, and I'm going to be using the largest stitched oval because they layer nicely there. And then finally I'm using the Flourish Thinlits dies, and it's really nice little set here. Like, it's got lots of lovely big flourish there, which I've not actually used yet, but I want to use this one here. So that's that. Apologies for the blue on my fingers. I was making something earlier that I was using dark blue, Night of Navy it's called, and I made a mess of my fingers, and it doesn't come off. It will come off, it'll be off before I go to work tomorrow, but just giving it a quick wash hasn't hurt, but it won't transfer, as you can see. So, and then the actual colour of the ink, let's just go through the card first so you can see. I'm actually using crumb cake cardstock, but I'm not using crumb cake ink. I'm using a lighter one, the Sahara Sand, because I want to create a more muted picture, so not sort of like full on in your face. So let's give you the dimensions of the card first next, I think. So I'm making a square card, and that is 11 inches by 5.5, and then it's scored at 5.5 to create that nice square. I'm going to be working in inches on my video today, but if you want the centimetres equivalent, I will put those on my blog, unless of course you want to sit and just work it out, but I will sort it all out and work it out for you. Okay, and then this layer here, which is going to have that plank effect on it, is 5.25 by 5.25, And then the next layer is going to be this. This is designer paper. I'll show you that in just a sec. That is, this one actually measures 3 1/8, but I should have made it 3 1/4. I was doing by 5, and then I've just cut a diagonal piece off there. And then I've just got some scraps here to do some stamping and some cutting on those ones. Okay, now this paper is from Stampin' Up, and it's from the designer series Twinkle Twinkle designer series paper, and it's beautiful paper. First of all, if I just show you this little piece, I mean, you can hear it's quite good. It's very good quality paper, quite thick, and this paper is all got stars and things on it. So as you can see, it's got the hearts and the stars and the moon, all sort of like a constellation type thing there. Beautiful night sky, which I'm saving for Christmas. Some stars on the back of that, and then you've got the stripe with the dots on the back. So this could be for boys or girls. As you can see, it's got the blue and the pink on it, because it's actually a baby's. The stamp set it goes with is actually a baby set. Beautiful green here. This is called soft seafoam, this green. It's absolutely gorgeous, that colour. It's got stars on there and the stitched effect like I've got on the dark blue. And then finally at the back, oh no, I've got another one. Like the pink one at the beginning, like this one here, you've got the blue version here as well. It's actually pool party, this blue, and it's got like the coloured dots on there. And then at the back there, you've got the one I'm using with these stars on the back. So like I said, this is from a baby set, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I don't know anybody's pregnant yet, so I'll have to see if I can make some cards up and maybe put them in my stash for a later date. I'm sure maybe my one of my children, my daughter or my son or something, will know somebody who's having a baby, and they can take the card for them. Anyway, so that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to be working with this for now. And then to make sure I get a nice image, I'm going to be using my Stamparatus. And this is a lovely thing. If you've not seen this before, I think it's similar to maybe the Misty, if anybody is a crafter out there who's got something like similar. It just helps to make sure you get a nice image, and you can stamp over and over, like if you've got the two-step stamping like I've got with the lighthouses. Okay, so I'm going to use it this way today, and I'm going to use a piece of card, and I'm just going to line it up using that line there. It just happens to be in the right place, and I'm going to move it in a little bit as well, like that. Actually, I don't want the magnets on yet. These magnets are really, really strong, and I've already had them sort of whacked together, but luckily I've got washi tape over this one to help cushion the blow, otherwise they probably would have shattered. And so I usually keep that one underneath, but because they're quite sticky, the stamps, I don't want the paper moving, sort of coming away, so it's going to hold it down nice and firm. But before I get there, I'm just going to take my plain oval, the stitched one, and I'm going to draw around the outside of it, and I'm going to give it a nice border so I can put the magnets on. And the reason for this is I want to make sure that the picture I build up will be inside the oval rather than cut off. You know, when it comes time to actually cut it out, I want to make sure that it's going to be inside that oval there, basically. So there we go. So that's that. So now I can put the magnets on, and hopefully they're far enough apart that they won't squirt together. And I'm going to keep that for a sentiment afterwards. And the only other thing you will need to do to prepare ahead of time is I had stamped using another ink pad, like a darker one, to create a mask. You'll see why in a little while. But let's get this lighthouse going first. I'm actually going to be doing this bit first here, and then I shall layer that one over the top. Okie doke. So let's put that in place where I want it. And I don't want it, because I want this to be prominent with everything behind it, so that's going to be there, and hopefully everything else will look like it's behind then. Okie doke. So this part is going to be off camera, but all I'm going to do is just ink up the lighthouse ready to go on my card. And make sure that's all nicely covered in there. Doesn't matter if I don't get it first time, I can always ink it again, which is what the beauty of using this contraption is. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit faint around the edges there, so I'm just going to re-ink just at the top there. And come on over again. As you can see, I've splodged it everywhere, so hopefully that'll give a good impression then. That's better, and of course that bit is faded now, so I shouldn't have done that. It's going to have another layer over the top, so you won't notice it so much. Okay, so that's that one done. And then to try and keep this video a little bit shorter, I know I've done a lot of chat already. I'm going to just use a baby wipe and a kitchen towel just to dry off the plate around the edge. To clean my stamps, I will clean them properly afterwards. So now I'm going to stand up, so you might find my voice gets quite loud just for a second. So I'm actually very close to my camera now, and I'm just going to offer this up and try and line it up with other parts of the lighthouse so that we don't get a double image. I think that's, I want to make sure that bit is spot on as well. Right, hopefully that's it. And as you can see, the stamps are quite stained, but that's because they hold some of the colour, but they don't transfer that colour. So although it looks pink, it's not going to stamp pink. Okay, let's take a look. That's not bad actually. I think I got that spot on. It does actually need a second layer, which doesn't matter too much because I actually want it to be nice and dark so it's proud at the front of the picture. Much better. So that's that done. And yeah, I think that's spot on, that one. That's good. So let's wipe all this bare ink off now. And give it a little wipe on the outside. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I want to do the water next. So get the stamp out ready, but before I do that, this is what you want the mask for. And again, I'm just going to stand up to go above so I can get this spot on. I'm just going to line it up at the bottom and then try and line it up at the top. Okay, that way when I do the water now, I'm just going to move that slightly that way. When I do the water now, it'll come, because I'm going to be stamping over, it doesn't matter because it won't stamp onto the lighthouse. And I'm keeping it all one colour. Okay. So let's bring that over and see how that looks. That's better. In fact, I might just stamp that again. That's not... That's better. That's much better. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to move this over a couple of hinges. So you start off here. Can you see that? If I do it this way, I'm actually going to pull that up and I'm going to go 1. Is that where I need to go? No, 2. I was right the first time. So go from here, you go 1, 2, hook it back in again, and then it will come over this side. So I can now move my magnet back down on this one and move it up on that one. Ink up again. And then just move that out the way just so it doesn't stop it from stamping down. Wonderful. I'll just do another layer of ink there. Wonderful. Okay, so let's get that all cleaned off. That's it. And then just put this hinge back where it belongs and take that off. So that is that. Now then, I'm going to leave the mask on there for the minute. And what I want to do now is maybe do a little bit of land at the bottom. So it's going to come off. I'm going to use this bit here so it can be there. Just so there's a little bit of land there. As you can see, it sticks to the card. Okay. Let's do that again. Take some of that ink off as well. That's better. Wonderful. Because you're not going to see that gap there because it's going to be cutting out like around there. Okay, so where's my wipe? And dry it off. Okay, so now I want the birds, the flying birds. They're here. And they can be flying off. Make sure they're up the right way. I did this once before and they were upside down. I always felt so idiot, such an idiot. Let's put these back to the sides again now. I might just get rid of that bird and just have the smaller ones there. That's it, like that. Let's move those down like that. Okay. That's good. That's good. Right. Almost done with the stamping. I just want to get some of the reeds now. And I might do this freehand actually rather than using the stamp apparatus. I'll leave it there. Let's get my block out and do this freehand. So let's move the magic out of the way. Okie doke, that's good. Over there, that's it. All done. So that's that bit done for the minute. Let's just close that for a second and close that for now, although I'll be wanting the sentiment out of there in a second. So we can get rid of the lighthouse now. And what I want to do now is actually cut it and then sponge the edges. So I think while I'm here, while I've got this nice bit out here, I'm just going to, I won't use that one, put that on the back. And I will pull this round to this side. That's the beauty of this, you can do it from the top or the side. And the sentiment has got to, I've got to make sure there's nothing on there I like for my dad. So I'm just going to pause for a second while I go and get one of the other stamp sets. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to be using the one of these sentiments from the treat time. I'm going to be using the happy birthday here. So let's pull that one out, which is this one. And these are red rubber as opposed to the, it doesn't really matter where I put it either because I'm going to be using the punch. So I might just use that surface, but use that. So keeping with the colour, sync that up. This is a fairly new set for me, and just so it's not near the edge because I'm going to be punching this one out. Happy birthday. Okay, and off to one side I've got my chamois here, which is a wonderful little thing. It's just dampened with some water and you just wipe off the ink like that. And yes, I use it all the time. Let's put that away and put the ink away for the minute. So I would need that again shortly. And now then, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be doing the die cutting and the punching, and then I should be doing sponging. So let's get this one going first, and let's get that right in the middle like that. It's probably going to cut off some of those lines, but I want to. That's a cute little stamp, this one. Oh, I can't do it left-handed, I've got to do this way. So in the middle, when you're happy with it, like that. And off to one side. So that's that bit. Although I might come back to that in a second. And I'm going to need these bits out now. Let's move off to one side because I'm bringing up my stamp apparatus. Not my stamp roll, what was I talking about? This is my big shot. Okie doke. Actually, I want to put the used plate underneath and I'll keep the clearer plate on top. Right, so this is where I'm going to be bringing in my crumb cake as well, because I want some of these leaves like that. And that should just fit on there like that. And then I'm going to make sure that that pencil mark is all around the edge of my die there like that. That's it. Oops. Okie dokie. Here we go. Oh, actually, what I could do, save a bit of time, that one can go on there if it'll fit. It does, lovely. I will give it a little bit of space. That's it. And I'm just going to hold that in place with my thumb just until it catches on here. Oh, hello. I think I've got the wrong plate underneath. I have. Right, I changed my base plate and that's much better. I've got the magnetic base plates underneath to hold the dies in place, but I'm actually using the ordinary platform for when I do the embossing powder, embossing folder rather, because it's not quite as deep. Okay, so there is my picture, as you can see. Okay. And I'll move that off to one side, and that's going to be layered on the crumb cake just there, like that. Before I'll be sponging it before I do that. And then I'm going to use a bristle brush just to, whoops, I'm going to take it off camera because I don't want the bits going all over my desk, but it will help pull this die. If I show you once I've done, just knocking out the last of the little holes for the leaves. It does that, which is cute. So, and that's almost ready to go back in again. Let's just take out those last bits. All right, so what I'm going to do now is it's going to come through again because I need a couple of those. Put it back through. That's it. Right, that can be thrown away now. And I'm going to swap over my plates ready for the embossing folder, so I might as well do that while I'm here. So let's get my embossing folder and the card I'm going to be using. I'm going to put it straight in the middle like that, nice and straight so it doesn't go on an angle. Put your folded edge in first, and then you just want one plate. So you don't have the plate underneath, you just have your base thing. And then you put your cutting plate on the top, and it's a bit tight, but it does go through. That's it. And I'm not going to reveal just yet, so let's move this out of the way first. Oops. Okay, so here we go. Look at that. Isn't that is lovely. It's the first time I've used this, so this particular embossing folder. That is lovely. And on the other side it's like the debosses it, everything's up, but I like that side much better. So that's going to look lovely on that card. Righty ho. So back to here, and I'm just going to get a tiny bit, I don't know if that's going to be big enough, a tiny bit of spare paper. Oh, got my other leaf, just bear with me a sec. What you're going to be doing is, if you just sort of roll the brush over the die, it just loosens off all the card and it gets rid of all your little bits straight in the bin, because that's where I am right now. I'm hovering over my bin. Okay, and that's the other leaf done there. So put that back over there. Right, so we don't need that right now. What I want is, these are all going to be sponged. So let's get my, now I've got smoky slate, I've got crumb cake. I might actually sponge it with the crumb cake. So let's get the crumb cake ink out, because I want to darken it all down a little. This crumb cake, isn't it? Yeah. We'll do it on here first. Just all the way around the edges. I'm not worrying too much about where the ink goes actually on the card, on this piece, because it's going to be covered up by that layer. But I just want to make sure it's an even colour all the way around. Like that. So I'm just brushing onto the card as well, so that the layer will hide these edge bits, they're further in there. So that's that bit, and then I'm going to be very, very careful and just sponge the edge of this one as well, although this one I'm going to layer up. Get another piece of crumb cake out and just you cut another piece of the use the punch again. So that's that one, and then this one I'm going to start off really light just on the edge, and then I'm going to work my way in a bit once I'm happy with that, like that, and then just dab some of that off and then come back like that. The idea is to try and create a sepia effect so it looks like it's an old picture. And do that all the way around. I'm starting off like just on the edge, and then I'm bringing the sponge over a bit more once I've taken off some of the ink, just to create that softened edge on the other side of the stitching. So it's dark this side of the stitching and then lighter, but it's still got that shadowed effect like you get on the really old sepia type, like 1920s style photos. And then I'm going to come over, brush onto the picture a little bit. There we go, not bad. Okay, actually what I might do is because these are going to look quite plain next to that, I think I'm just going to brush them up a little bit, like just a little bit like that. That's that one, and then that's that one, not too much. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Okay, I think let's get that other thing punched first. Let's get my crumb cake out, because I think I'll put it away. So I keep all my cards in these wallets, nice and cheap from the pound shop. You get, I think, about 5 in the pack, and I've just labelled them up so I know where they are. And then I keep them in magazine holders on a shelf, away from the lights from the outside. So there's no fading goes on, just in case. Yeah, and I can find them straight away because I keep them in colour families. So I know that the crumb cake was one of the neutrals. And before I cut this, I'm just going to just brush on here. I won't use any more ink. I'm just going to use what's on the sponge. That's it. All right, so you've seen me do this before with this punch. I'm just going to cut down the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. A little bit of glue then on the edge of your sentiment one, like that, just a tiny bit, just to hold it on the card, and then create a layer like that, and then same again on the bottom. And if you're layering, when you put it on, if it's not exactly right, you can just snip it straight. I'll show you what I mean. I'm not going to do it deliberately, but I'm going to show you what I mean when I'm done. Just this bit here. So let's just put that on. Oops. Okay, so if you found like that one is just slightly off, just snip it so it's nice and straight edge on it, and like that. So it's just minute, just to, and that doesn't look too bad. My fingers look awful. Let's try that one. There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to layer this one up. Like that. I'll turn it over just to give it a good rub. That's it. Okay, so let's build up the card now. So make sure you can either have it that way or that way. I'm going to choose to have it that way. So that will be on there like that. So let's get, actually that's quite flat. I think I'm going to go with that and stick it straight on the onto the card. So a little bit more of the Tombow glue than I would normally use because it's embossed. Let's That's it, just to make sure it does stick onto the card. And I've just got a piece on the edge there that I'm just going to wipe off with my thumb like that. That's it. Maybe wipe it on a towel there. That's it. And making sure the planks go the way you want, I'm going to have them vertical like that. And then because the tombow moves before it sets, you can actually make sure that you've got the card where you want it. So that's that bit. And then this bit's going to go on next. So roughly in the middle either side. I'm not going to worry if it's slightly off. Okay. Now before we go any further, this one is going to be brought up onto dimensionals. So where are my dimensionals? Here we go. I want the larger ones. But before I take the backs off, I'm just going to put the leaves behind and also the twine. So I might just put one in the middle just because it's my dad. There we are, nice. And so that's actually going to sit like that now, and then that one is going to be down here like that. Okay, so you get the idea of what it's going to look like. But before we do that, I just want to get these on, and I might stick them to the card rather than this thing here, so they'll go in like that. So I'll put some tombow on those in a second. That's going to go further in like that. And then my twine, I don't need a lot, I'm just going to cut a piece off and then just sort of loop it. I just want a big, like a loop like that, and that will stick behind the, so that will stick out like that. I can cut the ends off then if I want to. So I think what I might do, I might stick that actually to the card, and I'm just going to take off that middle one, and then I'm just going to twist it. Once I get my loop the size I want it, I'm actually just going to twist it then like that so it can stick to that. Actually it should go the other side of that dimensional so it doesn't make it go bulky like that. That's it. So it's just going to stick like that a little bit, and then that loop's a bit bigger, so let's pull that down. I mean, this is a case of you just sort of faff about until you're happy with it. And then I'm just going to cut those ends off because I don't want the ends showing. So that's going to be like that. So I'm just going to take that one off and just let them catch on to the edge of that one as well, like that. Like that. Okay, so that's set to go. Let's move those out the way. Backs off, mightn't it? Otherwise it's not going to stick at all. Okie doke. Make sure that's not over that middle one. That's it. So you can't see what I'm doing, so I'm just making sure that the edges are equally with the blue behind, and just press that down. That's it. Like that. And then we're going to, I might just cut the ends of those off and just put the glue on the bottom leaves there. Obviously it's got to go underneath because it's going to go onto the card. That's it. Like that. And like that. Okay. And then this one I think will go off to one, no, we'll go in the middle. But I'm not going to put it on dimensionals, I'm just going to put it straight onto the card. I'm just going to use my tweezers just so my hands aren't in the way while I decide where it's going to go. I think about there. That's it. Okay. And then I think that is about it. I don't know how long this has taken me. It's showing, oh, it's showing about half an hour on there. So I apologise for the length of the video, but because I showed you exactly my step-by-step, apart from cutting out all my bits. So there we are. That is screaming out for something on there. I don't know what yet. I'll have a think about what I'm going to put on there, if anything, and I'll add the picture at the end so you can see what the end of the what the end result looked like. But there we go. Definitely a man's card, isn't it? And yes, I hope you like it. And as I said at the beginning, thanks for watching. If you are not subscribed yet and you'd like to see more of what I'm doing, please do hit that subscribe button. I know I sound like a broken old record saying that at the end of each of my videos, but I do love to see new people coming in and joining in and subscribing to my channel here. If you want any of the supplies, it's all current stuff. I've not used anything that's retired. Do check out the posts, all the bits and pieces down below. I've got the link to my shop down there, so you can, or it's not my shop, it's Stampin' Up shop, but you know, with my link down there to get to it. And yeah, I'd love to have you custom if you want to buy anything, but if not, then just enjoy the video and maybe make your own version of. You don't even have to use the stamp I've used here. You could use anything. It's just I know I like this, and I know Dad quite likes this set as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with another one. Bye for now. Hi there. Just as a quick postscript, I decided that that gap was annoying me, so I've actually used the Make a Difference stamp set, and I used the Flourishy D and A to create Dad on there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And then just to colour in the C a little bit, I used a blender pen and some of the crumb cake ink just to sort of blend in to create a bit more of a mottled effect on the C as well. So that is my final. Now that's done, I'm not going to add anything else to it. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed it, the video, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.